Hey guys, welcome back to another Mathin' with Coach Lynn. Today we're going to talk about understanding percents. This is lesson 2.1 in our Tennessee Reveal math book, and it starts on page 87. Our I can statement states that I can understand the meaning of a percent as a rate per 100 and model percents using a 10 by 10 grid and a bar diagram. So into our learn section here, we see a percent is a ratio or rate that compares a number to 100. Percent means per 100 and is represented by this symbol right there. For example, 50% means 50 per 100 and is read as 50%. It represents the ratio 50 to 100 or 50 over 100. Going back to what we saw above, we see percent means per 100. We see per and cent are the two words that make up percent. Cent, we think about money. We have cents that make up $1, and there's 100 cents in $1. We also see cent in centimeters. As we learned in our previous lessons, there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. We also see the CENT in the word century, which is 100 years. So taking this knowledge of the word, we can see that percent is, as they told us, per 100. So down here below, we look at 45% and all the ways that it can be written, either as a ratio, as a fraction, as a percentage, 45 per 100, or as the word 45%. And then we see it modeled using a 10 by 10 grid. A 10 by 10 grid is 10 squares high and 10 squares wide, which means there are 100 total squares that make up this grid. Each square within the grid represents 1%. One total row or column represents 10%. So we see in this model we have 4 full columns shaded, so we know that's 40, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra in the next row, so it's 45% represented by this 10 by 10 grid. We could also do the 10 by 10 grid by doing 4 rows and 5 extra for 45. We see here they have 4 columns, they're just spaced out, and then they have 5 for 45. In this one, we have groups of 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 groups of 4. We know 11 times 4 is 44. And then we have this lonely one over here. So 44 plus 1 is 45. So all 3 of these at the bottom are additional ways that we can represent 45% using a 10 by 10 grid. Okay, now let's look at bar diagrams to model percents. So we can use a bar diagram to model percents, and our bars will always represent 100%. Depending on what percent we want to model, we'll decide how many sections we will cut our bar into. If I want to represent a percent that is a multiple of 10, I know 100 divided by 10 is 10, so I can have 10 sections that represent 10% each. And if that's the case, one section would be 10%, 4 sections would give me 40%, 7 sections would be 70%, and 9 sections would be 90%. If I have a percent that I want to represent, that's a multiple of 5. 100 divided by 5 is 20, so I need 20 sections. Each one's going to represent 5%. In this case, 1 is 5%, 3, 15%, 11 would be 55%, and 17 would be 85%. Our bars can vary as 10 sections, 20 sections. I can even do 4 sections, and 100 divided by 4 is 25, so each section would be 25%. I can do 5 sections, 100 divided by 5 is 20, so each section would represent 20%. And those are the most common ways we will see a bar diagram used to model a percent. Now, let's look at page 91 at some of the practice problems and apply what we've learned through lesson 2.1. Number 1 shows me a grid, and it asks me to identify the percent represented by each 10 by 10 grid. And this refers back to example 1. So we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full columns. We knew that each column represented 10%, so if we have 6 full columns, we know this is 60%. Okay. Number 3 tells us a school survey, 12% of the students surveyed said they liked camping. They want us to shade in the 10 by 10 grid to model 12%. Well, based off of what we learned through our lesson, we know that one whole column is 10%, so I can shade one whole column here. And if I need an additional 2% to have 12%, I'm just going to shade 2 more squares to have 12% modeled within my 10 by 10 grid. Number 5 on our practice page wants us to identify the percent represented by each bar diagram. Well, the first thing we need to identify is how many sections our bar diagram is cut into. I know that my total bar will equal 100, so I'm going to divide it by however many sections there are. And if I count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 total sections. So 100 divided by 10 is 10%. So I know each section is 10%, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sections shaded. 9 times 10 is 90. So I have 90% represented by the bar diagram on number 5. Number 7 asks me to shade the bar diagram to model 25%. So I look at my bar diagram again here, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. 100 divided by 4 is 25. So each section is 25%. So if I need to represent 25%, that means I would need to shade one section. I hope this information from lesson 2.1 is helpful for you. Take what we've learned, move forward, and ace your assignments. Have a great day.